Happy Sabbath, y'all. Most High in Christ bless. Thank y'all for tuning in as always. Pray at Most High is with each and every brother and sister. Y'all continue to send up prayers up in these really tough times. Tonight's topic is that He may sift you as wheat. That He may sift you as wheat. So I don't know if everybody's familiar with the scripture, but we'll get there eventually. We're going to try and work backwards from the rear to the front a little bit. So I know at least in times like these, as we deal with brothers and sisters, as you see, like I had mentioned a couple Sabbaths ago about the things that are happening across the world, and you see how the Lord is turning things up, and it's crazy because a lot of events that happen, you'd be like, the Lord's right around the corner. The Most High is about to send Christ back. We don't know that. As things happen, you have a time frame and certain things that are laid out for us to have some type of understanding and comprehension of what time we might be in. But we know the scriptures tell you that no man knows the time or the hour that Christ is going to return. But we do have little things to look forward to kind of gauge. Is it close? Is it far? Not necessarily down to the hour or the minute, but we're in that range as you can see it. Now, you have to be mindful because certain things that are happening across the globe doesn't necessarily mean that our situations are going to get easier. Just like it talks about, it's in the Gospels about the sister, the example of a woman bringing forth a child, like Jacob's trouble. She wants the child to come, like our deliverance. We want it to come, but those birth pains contractions get closer and closer and closer. The more things that happen, the more pain you're in. But we're working ultimately towards that woman bringing forth that child, us getting out of here. But don't look at these situations and just be relaxed, because trust me, the things that are happening and the Most High is turning things up with each and every one of us, brothers and sisters, trials and tribulations, those things aren't going to stop. And this is a time that you have to be even more focused and more paying more attention to detail of how your walk is going in certain things that can creep in, and you be caught off guard. And that's not a good thing, because listen, it's wise for us to pay attention on every level before the Lord comes back, that we are not caught sleeping or slipping, whatever may take place. So we have to be careful and mindful of the things that we're doing always. And I pray that this class, as many of them, but I pray that this class hits certain brothers and sisters a certain way, all brothers and sisters a certain way, that you may just pay attention a little bit more to how you're walking in the situations that are occurring around you. It's behoove you to do so, because you don't want to be that person, as Christ says, you're going to come as a thief in the night. You don't want to be a person that is caught off guard with these situations. And you have to pay attention and know that the Most High is doing everything. There is no such thing as outside the hands of the Most High. So pay attention to those things, all right? So tonight's topic, once again, that He may sift you as wheat. Let's start off in Luke 22. Luke chapter 22 in verse 52. Luke 22:52. Then Jesus said unto the chief priests and captains of the temple and the elders which were come to him, Be ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves? When I was daily with you in the temple, ye stretched forth no hands against me, but this is your hour and the power of darkness. Pay attention to these things, all right? This is a serious matter that's taking place before the disciples, Christ, all these different things that are happening. This is, as Christ says, this is the hour and the power of darkness. That hasn't gone away. Those things have taken place on a very high level, demonic. The same thing that's happening now, all right? Verse 54. And mind you, this isn't the level of blindness that takes place sometimes in the things that we do can be alarming, all right? Obviously more so alarming to those from the outside looking in, because us from a certain perspective might not understand the level of wickedness you might be in. You might not be aware. You pray that you see your error when it happens, that you may catch it, that you may correct it. That's what we're supposed to do. But certain situations happen where you might be too far gone to come back. I'm not gauging that, obviously, because the Most High has mercy, and how He distributed is on Him. I pray that that's extended to everybody, including myself, because I know I need it. But you have situations where people are falling into mischief in different things that have happened, and they're not necessarily seeking for a way back from the chaos, or a way back from the destruction they might have caused. They're going further and further off into pride. So these are situations that we have to pay attention to, that take place, and you have to continue to watch. Am I in the midst of it? Am I entertaining it? Am I playing around with brothers and sisters that's doing wickedness? The Lord it's nothing for the Lord to say, listen, snatch all His understanding. He's done. That's a scary thing. But you have situations that take place just like this, that people might not be aware they're evil until things are too late, and that's not what you want. You want to be able to prevent certain situations that take place, versus looking at something reactionary and then being like, what am I supposed to do now? All right, so keep that in mind. Verse 54. When they took him and led him and brought him into the high priest's home, and Peter followed afar off. And when they had kindled a fire in the midst of the hall, and were set down together, Peter sat down among them. But a certain maid beheld him as he sat by the fire, and earnestly looked upon him, and said, This man was also with him. And he denied, saying, Woman, I know him not. Now, there's certain scriptures I read. This is one of the accounts, along with like a Matthew 7, about somebody saying to the Lord, listen, didn't I pray and prophesy in your name? And the Lord's like, I don't know you. Stuff like that kind of give me chills from time to time. That's just me. I mean, I would hope that it hits other people like that, because you start to understand the severity of what we're dealing with. But when I read this account, it gives me that same feeling. Now, somebody can look at Peter and be like, well, what's the difference between him and the chief priest? Because he's now in the same seat as them. He's denied Christ after the wisdom, after the understanding, after the spiritual growth, after all the different things, the parables that Peter saw, the statement being made that you're going to be the rock that we build a church upon, all these different things, and all that time spent around Christ, for us to hit the fan, and then now everything you've learned has to be put into action, and then immediately Peter denies him. Now, certain people can look at him and be like, what's the difference between the chief priest and the elder and the rest of them, Peter? And the difference is sincerity. That's the biggest difference. A truth to what you're doing. Temptation and struggle hits us all. But the difference between him is Peter and the chief priest, and the rest of them, is the sincerity in how he's doing things. But make no mistake about it, the righteous can fall. All right. Verse 60. Where am I? Verse 57. And he denied him, saying, Woman, I know him not. And after a little while, another saw him and said, Thou art also of them. And Peter said, Man, I am not. And about the space of 1 hour, after another confidently affirmed, saying, Of a truth, this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilean. And Peter said, Man, I know not what thou sayest. And immediately, while he yet spake, the cock crew. And the Lord turned and looked upon Peter, and Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said unto him, Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And Peter went out and wept bitterly. So it's scary, because I can't imagine what Peter felt when the eyes were on him. All right. When the Lord looked upon him. And listen, this should be a lesson for each and every one of us. All right. This is not when Peter and the other disciples and them get exposed to this much knowledge and wisdom and understanding. All right. You're not your opposition or the things that you go against is not going to be something basic. Like, this is not basic carnal warfare. All right. The principalities and the powers that we're dealing with, they are very formidable. These spirits know what they're doing. They know who they're attacking. They know how to attack. All right. And even over time, once you be built up for certain things, you get built up over time and you understand how to maneuver through certain things. All right. These spirits adjust. They adjust. All right. We all struggle with a lot of different things, especially when it comes to our matters of our own mortality. All right. And it's good to be able to pay attention to things like this, because if something like this happened to the chief apostle, none of us should be feeling like we're safe. All right. It's a lesson for us all. You take heed unless you fall, and Satan will use anything he can, through any vice, anything, to conquer you. Christ had to show us how to do it. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. Christ had to show us a level of compassion, a level of strength, and a level of backbone that a lot of us don't know how to put forth. But all praises to the Most High, we have something we can read and understand and lean upon. What level, what it takes to get to that level of understanding and patience and confidence in the Most High and what He's putting forth. All right, you can't let those things fall by the wayside. You have to pay attention and believe what you're reading. These are accounts here to help us. All right, but Christ had to show us how to do it. Let's go to Song of Solomon 8. We touched on a couple verses last week, and we want to touch on a couple this week. I think it was last week. Song of Solomon chapter 8 in verse 6. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm, for love is strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which have a most vehement flame. So, comparing and contrasting between love and jealousy. All right. Let's work in reverse. Jealousy is as cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which have a most vehement flame. Jealousy and love they can elicit the same type of emotion, which are very strong. They have, of course, their differences, so you can compare and contrast them. But here it's drawing a dynamic between the two. You know, when you read in which is a good example, when you read in like Proverbs 6 about a man committing adultery with somebody else's wife, there's nothing you can really do that you can really quench that anger that the husband has for the person that was dealing with his wife. It's another level. That type of emotion coming from jealousy is next level. Love is being compared as strong as death. All right. The comparison between the two is showing you how the genius of how these things are kind of being put forth, the understanding of it. All right. Working backwards. Love is strong as death. Hold that and go to John 15. John 15. John 15 in let's start at verse 9. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. Now, this isn't when Christ says to continue in my love, this isn't some run-of-the-mill love. This isn't something basic that you see all the time. Whatever concept you've had of love, get that out of the way and relearn this thing. Move forward in the love that Christ is showing you, okay? Because it's different. Trust and believe is different. Verse 10, if ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. Now you read things in like Hebrews 12 about Christ despising the shame that came with the Romans doing what he did, even his own people, making a mockery of everything Christ represented, and to the point of trying to embarrass him up until his death. So Christ said that even though these things happen, he continued on because of the joy that would come with laying his life down, the honor in bringing forth death to give life. Those things Christ remembered, and he appreciated that side of it. It's the same lesson for us. We have to pay attention to that same example that Christ is doing for us. All right. This, again, this love is not something that you find in the world constantly. You don't really attribute this to people in the world, not with pure intentions, at least, not without a mixed level of selfishness. Because the first thing somebody gonna say is, well, my wife, or we shouldn't have girlfriends and boyfriends, and it's truth. If you don't know that, you don't read that in the scriptures. But somebody in the world might say that my girlfriend or my boyfriend, I love them like that. I'll lay my life down. Listen, just something you got to remember is another level of it. Christ died for those that hated him. That's a different. He had another level of compassion, and still was that arm was, or that hand was still extended to those that couldn't stand him, those that made a mockery of what he was doing. Many people can't. You can barely say that you died for somebody that you care about, let alone laying your life down for people that hate you. You don't find that in the world, all right? Verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. So this is another level of love, even though this is supposed to be something that was shown to us from the very beginning. This level of compassion and thought and care, we're supposed to always have this understanding. This is how we're always supposed to deal with each other, though it's rarely found. It's rarely found. Let's go back to Song of Solomon 8. So verse 6 again, Song of Solomon chapter 8 verse 6. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm. For love is strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which have a most vehement flame. Now let's deal with the seal. This is that level of love that Christ has shown. That's something that is unbreakable. Okay. This will go back into the understanding of what he's saying about putting it forth about the seal. This is the beautiful example for us, though it's been shown to us, but again, it's hard to execute. Like this level of love is hard to articulate to everybody else. But this is the beautiful nature of having this in bold print and being able to read these different things. Let's go to Esther 8. Let's go to Esther chapter 8. Esther chapter 8. Let's start at verse 7. It says, Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Now, we know this is a beautiful remembrance of the righteousness and the love that the Lord has showed for us to come through, even in dire straits and dire times. We do this every year, Purim, It's a wonderful account of how much the Most High is willing to go, even when it looks like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. All right. So Haman, if people don't know, Haman in short, what he did was trying to get the Jews killed, which you see this repeated through history. But he tried to take something, as the Lord always says, I take the crafty and their counsel. The things that they've done, Haman tried to put forth gallows or something to hang people on. What he brought forth to kill the Jews and conspired to do, it got turned around on him. And those same things that he had put into effect to execute Jews is the same way he was killed. All right, by these same things. Verse 8 is the point. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. So again, let's go back to Song of Solomon 8. You remember, you read you've read this a few other times in different places, but you can read it also in like you read in Ezekiel 9, Psalms 37 about Mark the perfect man. When you read in Revelation 7 about the angels holding back the four winds, and that destruction can't come unless those at the 144 are sealed. This is something that is illustrated, that this can't be taken away. Like, this is the same thing we're reading, the same understanding we're reading in Song of Solomon 8. Let's go back there. This level of love that we're reading about, let this be set as like a seal. This thing is something that is not easily reversed, is not taken away. It's something that's engraved. You read that in multiple places also. Song of Solomon 8 verse 6. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm, for love is as strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which have a most vehement flame. Verse 7. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. If a man would give all the substance of his house for love, it would utterly be contempt. So again, this isn't something that can just be washed away. This is something that would seem to be everlasting. This is something that is potent, extremely strong, that can't be wiped away by somebody's. This is not a worldly type love that this is expressing. It's like a seal. Let it not go away. Let it not be reversed. It's as strong as something like death. All right. This is being illustrated for us to be able to understand this type of love and this level of it. We're not really that familiar with. But this is the reason why we have accounts written of in the Spirit of Christ within many of our foreparents that we can read and understand. That's why scriptures tell you, blessed is he who reads. Because this is, again, it's not easily articulated to people. This isn't really something that you really find amongst brothers and sisters a lot. And this is why we are in the situation we are in now. Because one of the biggest things brothers and sisters struggle with is loving one another. Those are the biggest things. We talk about a lot of different things all the time, like prophecy and different things that seem to be high level. But the basics of milk that we're supposed to understand is rarely seen and put forth in the spirit it's supposed to be put forth in. All right, but we have accounts like something like Christ we can lean upon, that we can see. This is something that he did that is attainable. It's possible to be able to do. But you have to believe those things that you're reading. A lot of people walk in this thing and don't really believe it. But that's going to play out later in the lesson. Because again, what we're dealing with is not something that's basic, not easily overcome. All right, this is something we got to fight for. And you have to be able to have a keen eye on seeing and registering what you're watching and what you're paying attention to. Having that level of understanding that you can see a situation and start to recognize it before it might take effect and it be too late. But these accounts are written. Let's go to Job 8. These things happen for a reason. Job chapter 8. Job chapter 8 verse 8. Read on the streets all the time. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. And again, this is the reason why we have accounts like this, because we can come back and read it over and over again and kind of get it solidified inside your spirit. All right. But you have to have a level of appreciation for what you're reading and understand. Like I tell people all the time when I talk to people from time to time, it's like you're reading the Bible and you might be familiar with certain things, but you look at it through the lens of Christianity or religion. It's a whole different feel and it's a whole different perspective when you look at it through the eyes of your foreparents. So this is something that's appreciated once you start to understand, okay, this really happened. My descendants actually did this. They applied this. All these accounts have shown me and are confirming that the things that they have done, I can do also. Because people look at certain things and they'll try to pull things and be like, I can't be perfect. I'm not Christ. I'm not this. I'm not that. But you have these things written for you to have an understanding. This is attainable. It's possible. And you have these things to be written down to be showing you how to execute them. Okay. Let's go to Sirach 44. We'll come back to Job. Sirach 44. Yeah, Sirach chapter 44 and verse 1. Sirach 44 and verse 1. Let us now praise famous men, and our fathers that begat us. The Lord have wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsels by their understanding, declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions. So you want to be a situation. If we had another book that was written, we know we have a book of life and we're going to figure out whose names are in them when the judgment comes. But if you had to put forth another book and you have a whole different lineage in these things, meaning like the future generations are written down just like we're reading now, you would want your name to be in that. You would want to be the exact same way written as we're reading. You would want your name written in there and spoke of in praise of how the Most High wants us to conduct yourself. So you want to be like this. You want to pattern yourself like this. You want to be unmovable and confident and have the appreciation and the hope of what the Most High is able to do. Because to be written of like this, to execute things like this, you have to have a certain appreciation in a belief system in what you're doing, a level of faith with the Lord that most people don't have. It's the reason why so many people are going to be found what they don't want to find when the Lord comes. They don't want to be on the other side of things, and they say that verbally, but physically, they don't do what it takes to be worthy of the calling of what the Most High is asking us to do. But our foreparents were. We have a lot of them that weren't, but we have accounts of those that were. That's why it's important to read these different things. Let's jump down to verse 7. All these were honored in their generations, and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. And this is what I had said, I think it was last week, about for me, I don't know, I look at it very seriously. Of course, all the truth in the scriptures, but my name, it's the only thing that you have. So when it becomes tarnished among a lot of people, you don't really have a leg to stand on. You don't want to be the guy known as, unreliable. This person I can't really deal with because he's closed-minded. He has a lot of hate that he's bearing for brothers and sisters. He's not a good example for other brothers and sisters. That stuff would kill me because we're all we have at the end of the day. This is something we're supposed to understand. It's not really, it's relayed, but it's not really we don't really have good examples out there of appreciation and the love that's supposed to be shown for brothers and sisters. It's always contempt. It's always anger. It's always somebody caught up in the midst of sin, not really a good representation of what they say. We see that a lot across the board, across the globe. We see that a lot. But these men are well reported of. You want to be like this. You want to have a level of glory and a name left behind that people can look at you and be like, I aspire to be like him. This is what we have the problems with the younger generation, that they aspire to be like Lil Wayne. Nobody cares about Moses. Nobody cares about Christ. They don't. Unless it's something that they can use the name for the praise of it and then use grace along with it just to continue in sin. It's a lot of our people do. But the younger generation don't have a lot of things to look forward to. This is what we're supposed to be teaching them. This is what they're supposed to learn at a young age to be able to grow in this and not have to deviate from this as they get older. They have a level of appreciation for it at a young age. And we know children mimic a lot of different things. You teach them right, like the scriptures say, they'll grow up in this. Verse 10. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness hath not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore. This is excellent to be known, especially in the eyesight of the Most High. I mean, of course, well, I won't say of course. Usually, sometimes when you're known of the Most High, men still might hate you at the end of the day, because most people don't like when you do the right thing all the time. Maybe from time to time, but just don't call me out. That's how people feel a lot of times. But this is excellent to have a recording, and the Lord found your name and you worthy enough to make sure that they write about you. And as you read down the accounts of our foreparents and what they did, you can have, when you read these different things, you can have a level of confidence to understand how you're operating, and you know it's that great example that you are mimicking. You are following that. So you can understand and not be confused how you're moving throughout life. Okay, excellent. I know I can be confirmed and appreciate and be confident in how I'm moving based on how my foreparents did. Your name will be written in here just like them. So this is something you aspire to be. Let's go to Psalms chapter 1. Psalms chapter 1 in verse 1. And remember, this is excellent, because these type of men, these type of brothers and sisters, you will read about it, but these type of brothers and sisters are going to be the ones that are going to last in this truth. Not just basic because you see the account of them being righteous. What I mean is the characteristics that they have is very hard for people to try to twist and play with them, because you are what they consider to be 10 toes to the ground. This comes with a certain backbone that people have to have all the time. That's going to be harder for you to be manipulated down the road. Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Day and night. Something you have to pay attention. This is the reason why you can't really take time off. Not from keeping laws, of course, it's 24/7, but what I mean is you can't be lackadaisical. And I've been that. I've found myself in that category before. You're not reading as much. You're not putting as much effort as you are. You should be into this. That's when you start to have those cracks in the door and the wall that something can seep through. And you don't want to be like that, because when something catches you off guard, you don't know if that's going to be the last thing that's going to take you away. You don't know what that might be. You don't have a level of understanding when you're not taking time to go through this, and you can't recognize the chinks in your armor along the way if you're not paying attention to what you're reading about your spirit supposed to look like and mimic. This bold print is supposed to be you. Like, you're supposed to mirror this. So if you're not reading on what the characteristic you're supposed to have, well, good luck to you, because the world will tear you apart. It will. It'll rip you limb from limb. And I'm sure brothers and sisters have been in that situation, but the Most High has mercy to bring you back. But you got to appreciate that. Don't play with the Lord. It's not a situation that's like it's not a comedy routine. It's not a game. The Most High can remove you out of this and you don't even know it. And you just walking blindly to judgment. It's the last thing you want. Verse 3. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. In this, the illustration of a tree planted. Y'all have seen trees outside your house, whatever it may be, big, small, whatever, firmly rooted in the ground. You're not moving that thing. Ain't nobody coming to push it. None of that stuff. It's not going to happen. You're not going to tilt it over. This is the same way that you have to be rooted in the truth. You have to be, because you become unmovable. When you don't have little things that can take you away, and people that understand how to play on emotions and push your buttons to get you out of character, to move you out of your spirit, there's never a situation or a time period where it's acceptable for you to come out of the spirit. You don't read that in here. You never read where Christ had to slip up. You don't read these different things. Christ was in the spirit, and knowing that 24 hours a day, all the time, if you become unmovable like this, meditating day and night in the law. Now, the problem with not being a problem, not problematic for you to keep the law or anything like that. I don't mean to sound like that, but it takes a level of mental fortitude to keep pushing and doing this always. And this is the reason why scriptures you read things about dying daily. You have to reassess all the time to get to know yourself better. And it's better for you to do that than somebody else to catch you lacking and then try to play on emotions or something else that might pull you away from this. And again, I can't stress it enough. It's important to be able to recognize when somebody's doing that. Some people might not know that. You might look at it as just like, oh, this is just a playful moment. Oh, I'm just having fun. We're just entertaining this. Meanwhile, the person is trying to do what they can to wreck you. It's sad. It's evil. But these things happen. You have to look out for you. You have to. Because even though scriptures tell us we're supposed to look out for each other, a lot of people are not doing that. So even if somebody else drops the ball and they're just like, I don't feel like looking after you no more, which is evil, but it happens, you have to make sure that you're on top of you. People usually exhibit these qualities, these characteristics in the beginning. All right. Let's go to Hosea chapter 9. Hosea chapter 9, I think it's verse 10. Hosea chapter 9, verse 10. Yeah, you'll read this is along the same lines of this in the beginning of Jeremiah 2. Hosea chapter 9, verse 10. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at her first time. So you read like in Ezekiel 16, these things are being put forth to give you an understanding of how things were great and they went astray. They went awry. Usually, because you read the accounts of us coming out of Egypt, and this is the same spiritual process as other brothers and sisters on the earth right now, as you're making your way, not conforming anymore to the customs of this place and getting rid of the spirit that you carry that you wasn't even aware of in the world. It might seem easy at first. Physical things might seem hard, but the mental game is completely different. But it might seem easy at first, and a lot of people have these fruits right off the bat. You see little things here and there, you start changing. But to consistently hold this over time, you're going to be put through certain trials and tribulations, and you better understand how to deal with it. Israel's found this way in the wilderness when they came out and the Lord starts giving the nation laws. So understanding what's clean and unclean. Come out of the ways of the Egyptians and the way that they do things. that's good, first and foremost, it seems to be something that you can do, maybe for a short period of time. But even Paul said, this race isn't to the swift. This is for you to endure. This is, you got to take time with this and understand how to make it over these hurdles that constantly come from whatever shape or form they might be in. All right. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at her first time. But they went to Baal Peor and separated themselves into that shame, and their abominations were according as they loved. All right, this isn't the same love that we just read about in Song Solomon. This is not the same love we read about that Christ was talking about in John 15. It might be as strong, because it's pulling you away. This type of love is a weakness, a lust that will ultimately shape judgment for you, because you might have started off with these characteristics and these fruits of the spirit. But as time goes on, like we read about Peter, you can do a lot of different things wholeheartedly with the Lord. You can do everything. But it's going to take some adjusting, because the things that come your way are going to adjust how you adjust. And the greatest opponent for you is yourself. So as things start to take shape and change, subtly, because that's how the devil moves. Subtle. He does not, it might seem easy at first or seem obvious. This is something I can recognize right off the bat. Look at that. That's evil. This is evil. But then, as these spirits start to understand, when these spirits take shape in other people, you start to understand you better be paying attention and reading for yourself, study to show yourself approved, because everything that's happening right now and everything that happens in your walk in your life, those examples are already written. That's why you can go back and flip through these things and start to understand. That looks a little weird. This seems to be just identical to the situation I'm going through. That's when you can start to understand what type of spirit people in. You can recognize it. And then once you have understanding and you have the recognition of it, then you can adjust accordingly. But you better know what you're looking at. Because again, if you don't have the understanding or wisdom to see certain things play out before they do, that discernment's not there, it's going to be a situation where you're going to be caught lacking. And God forbid, those situations put you in a position where you can't recover. You don't want that to happen. Not saying that the scriptures are saying that you can't come back from things, because the Most High can distribute mercy how he sees fit. It's just a warning, because the scriptures is preventative measures. All right, this is not damage control. You don't want to do something and then be like, well, I'll worry about it later. No, you want to understand things before things take place. That's the level of discernment the Lord has given you. And you got to be able to take your time, process it, and see it. Because things are not always going to be as clear as it was in the beginning. All right, let's go back to Psalms 1. There's one point I wanted to mention in here. And I want you to pay attention to this, because it's going to come around in a second. Psalms chapter 1. I'll read verse 3 again. It says, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers, that bring forth his fruit in its season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Verse 4. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. I'm going to read that again. Verse 4. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. These things, these examples are beautiful examples if you understand why the Lord's using the things that he's using. Because nobody can express and put it better. It's like the greatest artist or the greatest poet. The Lord has given the spirit to our foreparents to make sure that they write like this, that they are able to help you to understand, to paint this illustration, that you can comprehend high level things with simplistic things around us in nature. Okay. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Go to Jeremiah 8 real quick. Jeremiah 8. And it's a helping understanding also of Hosea 9 and different things. Jeremiah chapter 8 in verse 12. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore shall they fall among them that fall. In the time of their visitation they shall be cast down, saith the Lord. I will surely consume them, saith the Lord. There shall be no grapes on the vine, nor figs on the fig tree, and the leaf shall fade, and the things that I have given them shall pass away from them. So, listen, this is again the comparison with the tree and the fruit and the understanding of it. As time goes on, the things that you have been given and have grown in you, you don't want to get to a point where you've lost that fruit. And it can happen on any level, any possible way it can happen. Because a person not paying attention to their surroundings, not understanding who they are around, not reading and studying to show themselves approved, you can easily be beguiled. Easily. And this is something you have to take heed to. You have to take heed unless you fall. And you don't want to be caught out here like this. You don't want to be an example like it tells you in Wisdom of Solomon 10, I think, about a living example was the pillar of salt that Lot's wife was turned into. This is for all the future generations to look at and be like, I don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that. That's not, you don't want that to be your memorial, okay? That's not something you want to be remembered for. It's not good. Somebody can always look at you as being in wickedness and being like, that's the person. He's the guy. I don't want to be like that, okay? Verse no, let's not do that. Let's jump to back to Luke. No, let's not go there. Let's go to Job chapter 1. Job chapter 1 and let's see, Job